If you've been waiting for Motorola to return to flagship glory with a new Moto Z series device, nope, sorry. This is the Moto Z4, and it's a perfectly nice phone. That's maybe the best thing I could say about it. Well, actually, that's not true. It is relatively inexpensive, and you can slap a Moto 5G mod onto it to get super high-speed data in like 2 cities around America right now. That's clearly not enough to bring Motorola back to its days of glory, but with a phone like this that seems to hit all the right buttons for not a ton of money, maybe it doesn't matter. Let's take a closer look. Just to help you keep your expectations in check, this is without promotions included, because there are a few of those, a $500 phone. And that's actually not too bad considering you do get a Snapdragon 675. That's a distinctly upper mid-range chipset with 4 gigabytes of RAM. There's a 3600 milliamp hour battery, which Motorola quite correctly says is the largest battery they've ever stuck in a Moto Z phone, but that's literally only because they've always been able to count on people buying batteries to magnetically attach to the back of the phone. But that's kind of neither here nor there. There's a 25 megapixel camera front and a 48 megapixel camera around back. And if that sounds familiar, it's because it should. It sounds quite a bit like the Moto One Vision, which we just discussed a few weeks ago. That's a device that's meant basically for the rest of the world outside of the United States. It'll be available as a Verizon unit compatible with that 5G mod, but also unlocked for every carrier. Unfortunately, Motorola hasn't said whether or not it plans to create separate versions of the 5G mod for all of the carriers in the US who want to get 5G up and running this year, but I guess we'll just have to live with that. Really though, my issue with the Moto Z4 is there isn't anything at all here, aside from that intriguing, even to this day, mod architecture that you wouldn't find in other devices for probably a little bit less money. Of course, this does have an in-display fingerprint sensor. It's actually an optical sensor, not one of Qualcomm's ultrasonic sensors, so it can theoretically be fooled by images of fingerprints, but we'll have to try that for sure to see if that's really a concern. I'm actually pleasantly surprised by this 48 megapixel camera, mostly because just about every other 48 megapixel camera we've tested so far this year, it uses a process called pixel binning to treat 4 pixels on the sensor as one. So effectively improves the light performance, and with the addition of a night vision mode, which we've tested in this post-apocalyptic New York warehouse, actually seems to work quite well. I wouldn't compare it to the Google Pixel 3 or the 3A in any meaningful way. I think that device, even now, using fairly old hardware, is a clear winner when it comes to overall image quality. But the stuff that I've seen out of the Moto Z4's camera really isn't so bad. The phone does run Android 9.0 Pie with Motorola's usual slew of Moto experiences, and frankly, it feels very much just like every other Motorola phone that I've played with in the last few years. The difference between this and the Moto Z3, which we have used quite extensively, we took it to Chicago and tried it with 5G, doesn't feel particularly palpable. It's there if you really, really want to look for it. It doesn't excite, it doesn't thrill you in the way that those early Z series phones did. And I think that's honestly kind of a shame. The Z series originally made me rethink what a smartphone should be able to do in a way that foldables are now sort of forcing me to do again. I've been playing with this phone for the better part of an hour, and it's perfectly nice. I don't know that I'd necessarily spend $500 on this, but let's look at it this way. If you're a Verizon customer, you are itching to try 5G, this is probably a more thoroughly capable choice than the Moto Z3 that we got last year. Yes, it had an 835. Yes, it was pretty quick for what it was, but I feel like this is the better all-around package. And I should point out, it is available for $439 with the 5G mod if you buy it on Verizon. If you're not a Verizon customer, or if you just don't care about 5G at all right now, should you buy this as a standard mid-range device? It's a bit early to say, if I'm honest. What I have seen so far is perfectly adequate. It's quite nice, but not much more than that. My gut says, not really. Not when devices like the Pixel 3a exist and bring really solid performance and an exceptional camera experience for a very reasonable price. That's not to say you should write this thing off completely. We have not really put this thing through its paces in any significant way. So we're gonna go do that, come back with a full review, and let you know soon enough whether the Moto Z4 is really worth your time.